Welcome back, everybody. James Bouligny here for the COVER1 pregame show. It is the last round for some six-man programs out there because next week they have a bye week, then they have state. But we're into the fourth round for 11-man programs. Before we get really into it, though, let me welcome in my co-hosts, Ryan Chadwick and Nick Thompson. How are we doing, guys?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Actually shooting here from Lubbock with Nick this week.
Yeah, Sophia, your baby was there, Nick. Where's she at right now?
She has to go down for a nap, but she was gonna do a camo if she could last a little longer.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and move on. Before we get any further, though, let's go ahead and thank our title sponsor, Whataburger.
Whataburger now has new premium coffee. That means a brand new taste with new flavors. And it's coming in hot and iced cold. New hot and iced coffee from Whataburger, just like you like it. For the first time ever, Whataburger has iced coffee. So hey, get vanilla iced coffee with breakfast, caramel iced coffee with a snack. And for dinner, how about mocha iced coffee? Or just get plain. Nothing wrong with a classic. New iced coffee from Whataburger, just like you like it.
All right, Nick, Chadwick, y'all were at Post Stamford last night. That was a high-ranked game. Stamford is obviously a favorite to go to state. Let's go ahead and talk about how the game went.
Well, man, it's wish I could say it worked out a little bit better for our South Plains school, but Stamford proved to be everything that everyone talked about. They were big. They could run the ball. They were fast, and when they really got down to it, that defense made the stops that they had to make, and Stamford ended up winning this one. Now, they scored early and kept Post out of the end zone. Not to say that Post didn't do well offensively. In fact, on 2 drives in a row in the first half, Post actually got inside the 10-yard line, but they could just never punch it in. So Stamford built a 21-point lead by the half. In the second half, Post came back, of course. Their offense actually started to score, but at that point, they just couldn't climb back into it. What was your biggest takeaway from it, Nick?
All year they've used Ian Vergara a lot. What I've noticed was towards that second half, they started passing a little bit more to kind of get past that line. And it worked for them for quite a bit. But once they got back to the goal line, kind of figured things out, Ian Vergara still pretty much took it in. I think Keandre Jefferson even got a touchdown himself. So they kind of implemented the pass game as well. And that's something that I haven't personally seen them do the last few games I've been there. So that kind of worked in their favor. We just wish they kind of did that in the first half, but that's the final score.
Yeah, well, and I think that if they would have made some of those adjustments a little bit earlier, I think the outcome might have been different. But James, that Stamford defense is for real. Even when Vergara would get a breakaway run, he got ran down. They're excellent at taking angles, and they always met him at the point of attack in the hole. So it was rough sledding for Post. Not to take anything away from the Antelopes, still had an amazing season. Finished 13-1 on the year, and this was after finishing 2-8 last year. So, like I said, excellent season for Post, but unfortunately, Stamford just kind of put it on them.
Yeah, didn't Post actually have 2-8 seasons in a row, and now they're into the fourth round? I think they have to look this season as a success. You never want to. I know you dropped a game, but it's not like Stamford is some nothing program. They've been kind of buried behind Cisco and Hawley and everything in that super district in the big 2A, and now they're finally getting their shot. How would you look at this season for Post?
Well, I think it's nothing than they played above expectation. I mean, if you ask Coach John Wright, and it's the same thing he was saying last night, for this senior class, it was expected because they kept building on it and they stayed together and they kept working hard and they demanded discipline from the underclassmen beneath them. But Post has been very good in the past. They had a couple down years, but it seems like now that there's a bit of a resurgence. I don't think that any of the seniors can regret this year because like I said, they're finishing their 2024 season with 3 playoff trophies and a district championship. But for those underclassmen, Coach Wright said it best. He goes, "I wanted our underclassmen to experience the sting of a championship caliber football team, and they did that tonight, and that will carry them into the future." So I think we should expect big things from Post in the future. It just wasn't their night last night.
All right, yeah, I mean, when you spot them 14 points and 14-0, it's kind of hard to come out of that hole. But we're
you
gonna
say 14, more like 21. But
21. Yeah, that's even that's even worse for them when you go out there and do that. I've seen a couple teams where they've gone out and spotted a team, 2 touchdowns, and then it's just a fight back, and at the end of the game, it's a 14-point game, and had you shown up a little bit sooner, you would have won that game. I'm not saying Post didn't show up, but if teams had come in ready, a little more ready than they did, they would have made that more of a game. But
it literally just came down to not being able to get into the end zone those first 2 drives.
Right. All right, we're going to move on, but before we do, got to thank Angelo Bolt. Since 1994, Angelo Bolt Industrial Supply has served the Concho Valley for 30 years and counting. Angelo Bolt is the go-to place for fasteners, power tools, air compressors, safety equipment, and everything in between. Chances are Angelo Bolt will always have what you need when you need it, and the odd chance they don't have exactly what you're looking for, they'll find it fast. No request is too big or too small for Angelo Bolt. Located at 808 Warehouse Road, where customer service is their top priority. Thank you, Angelo Bolt, for bringing us all of our coverage of all things sports in the Concho Valley. All right, moving on. We got a big game coming up between Wall and Canadian. Third time's the charm. What do you think, Chadwick? You're going to be at this one.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're shooting the show from Lubbock this week, is because I already wanted to be here, because this game is going to be played at Lubbock Cooper Liberty at the new Patriots Stadium down there. It's absolutely beautiful, brand new stadium. And let's hope that this year is the year, right? 2 years ago, the first time I covered this Wall Canadian playoff game, you could tell that Wall wasn't ready for it, right? The game ended up being like 56-14 or something like that. Canadian was just bigger, faster, stronger, had a better scheme, like everything, right? Last year, they come back and play them again, and it's closer, but it came down to exactly like the post-Stanford game, like 2 critical plays in the first half that ended up like defining the rest of the contest. Move ahead to this year, Canadian is by no means a weak team now, but they graduated some of their top players, right? Meanwhile, this sophomore class that at the time anyway, that played Canadian 2 years ago, that are all now seniors, it's like they're ready. A Wall is big, they're strong, they're the fast ones now, and I do think that this is going to be the year that Wall finally gets over that hump, right? They've completely revamped their offense under Craig Slaughter. And under his tutelage alone, with his defense, because he is the defensive guy, they're still one of the top defenses in the state. They are ranked number 4. They climbed up the rankings to number 4 on the year, and they deserve to be there. They keep proving time and time again that it doesn't matter who they line up against. Like it's just not going to be enough to stop them. So hopefully that holds true again tonight. With that being said, there might be a little bit of lingering effect. Like this is the big bad Canadian team. But, I mean, they have pretty much had a mantra all season that this is the revenge tour year. They lost to Mason last year. They went back and beat them. They wanted to beat Jim Nett again. They went ahead and did that. Like, they've pretty much accomplished every goal that they've wanted to so far in the season. And if they get over that Canadian hump, then they're in for a great matchup, which will probably be Gunter for a trip to Jerry's World.
It is Gunter. Gunter beat Holiday
it is
last
Gunter.
night.
They played last night?
It is Gunter.
Okay, so yeah, like me and Nick were freezing last night, so I didn't get to see the scores.
Yeah, Gunter won, and I think that would be a better game than the state game, regardless. I think, obviously, I think the representation is coming out of Region 1 and Region 1 or 2 if Gunter wins, and then Region 4, where I think Lexington is. I think Lexington's going to be that other team there. But, yeah, Wall they have to beat this defense. That offensive line has to be secure. They have to make sure they can protect for Landon York, who's had a great year for Wall, because that Canadian defense has like 50 sacks. So if they can get pressure on the quarterback, he can make mistakes. So that offensive line has to be playing well. They have the weapons to take to the distance. And last week when Canadian played Idalou, it was like 27-0 at one point, and then Idalou came back. It was 27-21, like 12 seconds left, 4th and goal from like the 20-yard line, and Idalou threw an interception in the end zone, but they fought back. But if you go into this game thinking, oh well, we beat Wall, or we beat Idalou the way we beat them, you're gonna lose this one. And I know Slaughter's not gonna let his team do that. They're gonna be prepared. They're gonna be ready for Gunter. The big thing is Canadian graduated their quarterback, Cannon Cavalier, last year. Well, at the end of the year, he graduated, so they have a new quarterback, but they still have playmakers there in Canadian. So Wall has to play sound defense or sound offensive line play. The receivers have to make plays. You open up the run, and I think I would just send my X receiver downfield and wear that secondary out. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Reed Robinson and Briggs Jones are going to be the X factors in this one. I would be sending Reed deep every single play to try to tire that secondary out and hit Briggs, on short passes over the middle or in the backfield a little bit. One thing I don't want Wall to do is get locked into one way of thinking, because they cannot afford 3 and outs, right? And so, like, if the passing game isn't working, try to work in a little bit of that run game. Outside runs always work well for Wall. They have a lot of speed. Get the ball to guys like Briggs Jones and Spaeth and just let them, make plays. Because, even last week, Briggs Jones returned that punt for 70 yards for a touchdown. So
called it, by the way.
If he has any space at all, he can make something happen.
No, absolutely. And two things that you do have to really focus on is make sure you have the football. They've had a couple fumbles over the playoffs so far, and extra points after touchdowns. They've missed a couple extra points. So now you're at the point where everything matters. You can't turn the ball over, obviously, but you have to make those extra points. You lose by 1 point, and it's somewhere, off a missed kick. You just got to make those now. It's crunch time now. You have to make these every point count, every drive count. And I do think Wall is going to get it done. I think that secondary is fast enough where they're going to give that defensive line enough time, give Mickelwitz enough time to make plays, give Brylan White, Garrett Guy enough time to make plays back there. So I think it's going to be a very, very good game, and I'm excited for it. I do think Wall comes away with this one and end up playing Gunter next week. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. I'm going with the Hawks this week.
So, Nick?
Sure, let's do the Hawks.
Oh, sure. Let's do the Hawks. All right. We're going to move on. Before we do, show your Hawk pride with the custom cookie cake from Great American Cookies. Celebrate in style with a treat that's as sweet as victory. Find us next to Cinemark Tinseltown in the Sherwood Way Shopping Center at 4553 Sherwood Way. Great American Cookies, where every occasion is worth celebrating. All right, let's talk about some of the other games we got coming up. We've got Klondike and Jayton. Chadwick, you saw Jayton. What do you think's going to happen here?
After watching what Jayton did to Blackwell and then hearing about what Jayton did to Benjamin, which is also another top 10 team in the state, I think that it's not really a formality at this point, but I do think that Jayton is easily the strongest team in 1A Division II this season. Nick, this is going to be your first six-man game you're covering, man. Like what are your overall thoughts when I was explaining the rules and stuff to you last night?
Yeah, I definitely didn't realize there's a whole set of rules that are different when it comes to 6A or six-man football. I'm going to have to get a little used to the touchdowns starting on the 10-yard line and whatnot too. But I mean, from Jayton's record at least, and then how they've scored against other teams, I didn't also realize that these could be 100-point games.
Yeah.
So,
ask our friend Lucas Banda about that one.
I was about to say, Lucas knows all about 100-point games.
So I'm excited. It's gonna be cold out there tonight, but
you're gonna be running around a lot. You'll be running back and forth up and down the field. You'll be okay, Nick.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna get my steps in, but and warm myself up a little bit. But it'll be fun. I'm very curious and very excited to kind of see how a six-man football game works, and whatnot, and kind of be there. It'll be my first one, and hopefully more in the future.
All right, and some more six-man games going on. We've got Water Valley and Whiteface. Water Valley beat Westbrook last week, and they just have several players on that team that can really play. When you get this deep in the playoffs, if you just kind of have one guy, yeah, he can make a difference, but the teams that have it kind of spread out and don't really have that one guy who blew up, you kind of have to rely on everybody now. You have to rely on all six guys, and Water Valley has done that this year, and they're going to put on Saturday, they play at Chadwick 2, right?
Yeah.
At 2, so I think they're going to beat Whiteface. The other game is Gordon and Abbott. Gordon has been 45ing everybody this year, and they are extremely, extremely good. So I'm looking forward to like a Water Valley Gordon State game. That'd be interesting. But Abbott has a pretty good chance at they can play there in Abbott too. They've been kind of a team that has been out there. They've been with Jonesboro, kind of in that area of Texas, and they've been playing extremely good football. The other game, Oakwood and Oglesby. Oglesby beat Richland Springs last week, so Oglesby is definitely the team to take down in the small six-man D2 school classification there. Moving up to small 2A, Junction did lose last night to Shiner. Shiner has a whole bunch of playoff experience, and they're just one of those teams that are extremely good, but great year for Junction. And then I think the other team coming out of that will probably be Munster. Munster's just knocking everybody off. They were top of their district. They beat Collinsville. They actually have a rematch with Collinsville this week. So that's going to be another really good 2A game. And what about the big 2As? What do you know about the big 2As, Chadwick?
I mean, that would be the, Stanford and like post game that we just covered.
Right.
I do know that I don't see anyone taking down Stanford at this point. I thought Sunray was the best shot before they got beat by post. Say that again.
You don't think Ganado could do it?
I mean, so that Ganado Refugio game is going to be something else. Like, is that tonight?
No, they beat Refugio last week. They're playing Marlin this week. Marlin beat Mason, so Ganado's got Marlin.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, Ganado beat Marlin. They played the other night. So Ganado beat Marlin. They're going to play Joaquin because they beat Honeygrove. So, I mean, they've just marched their way through that Region 4. I think they're going to be they're going to be representing Region 4 at state. But them and Stamford would be a pretty good state game, don't you think?
Yeah, well, and Ganado, remember, Ganado was the team that knocked Mason out last year. So,
right.
Like, any
and
team
nobody knew Ganado was going to do that last year. That was kind of a surprise that Ganado was playing as well as they were.
Right. Well, and no one expected it because they didn't just beat Mason; they beat them down. So I think it speaks well to their credit that they've already beaten Refugio and that they're a mainstay at Jerry's World. So I think that's going to be a good matchup. But I'm telling you, like from what we saw from Stanford last night, like they're incredibly athletic.
Right. Big 3A, we got Shallow Water and Paradise at Shotwell. Tonight, what do you think about that one? You think Shallow Water is going to pull this one off?
Well, like watching Paradise win that, absolute defensive slugfest against Jim Ned,
10-7,
kind of puts the fear in me a little bit for the Mustangs. But Shallow Water's been good all year. They're even better on the defensive side of the ball than they are on offense, so it speaks well to the matchup. It's really just going to come down to which team shows up and decides to take care of business, But Paradise has proved that it can already, like they've already beaten top 10 teams, and Shallow Water's another one of them. So it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, and then Shallow, and then you have Columbus playing Franklin in that same classification, and Llano is still they're playing Edna. That'll be a really, really good one right there. And then 4A, big 4A, Stephenville is playing West Plains. You think Stephenville's got a shot here?
I mean, I don't think you can ever count Stephenville out. That's another one of those historic powerhouses that
they've been the favorite all year.
Cough doesn't recruit. But anyway, I think that they're always going to be in whatever contest they play in. And it's about time that we see Stephenville back in the state championship.
All right. What about some of those six-man programs? You got South Lake Carroll taking on Denton Ryan. What do you think is going to happen there?
Man, so that game I'm actually really, really interested in because South Lake Carroll isn't the powerhouses that they've been in the past. Like they've kind of squeaked by so far in these playoffs. And in my opinion, I would have loved to see the Friendship Tigers take them down. Yeah, that's the game.
I agree. Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, but it's just one of those. where it's like, all right, which DFW school is going to win now, right? So Denton Ryan hasn't been back to state in a while. Same with Southlake. I don't think it matters in the end because I still think this is Duncanville and DeSoto's state championships to lose. But like I do, it's going to be an interesting matchup to see what who I'm going to be covering next week's semifinals.
All right. Moving on real fast, we got to hear a quick word from Jim Bass Ford.
Right now at Jim Bass, scan our QR code and find great deals on cars and trucks. Right now, you can get a brand new 2024 Ford Ranger, just $31,777.
You can only get deals like this at Jim Bass Ford, Houston Hart and Arden Road, or 24/7 at bassbunch.com, or you can scan this QR code.
It's QR code, boss.
That's what I said, QR code or QR code.
All right, let's move into some college ball. Chadwick, Texas Tech. Talk about it.
Well, the Red Raiders absolutely dominated West Virginia last weekend, and it was something that Tech needed and Tech fans needed, especially after the two close losses to Baylor and TCU and Colorado. Like, well, not really Baylor. They kind of killed us, but TCU and Colorado towards the end of the season. But it absolutely kills me that the state championship game, the Big 12 the Big 12 championship game this weekend is going to be between Iowa State and Arizona State, who've pretty much wrecked the entire Big 12. Besides Texas Tech, Tech beat both of them, and of course Tech beat Iowa State on the road and Arizona State at home. But it just goes to show you that one mistake at TCU, at that game in Fort Worth we were at, completely cost Tech their season and their shot at the college football playoff. But with that being said, we just had a very strong National Signing Day, including guys like Leighton Stone and Michael Deaver, who are Lubbock natives. One's a District 26A, and of course Michael Deaver, he goes to he's one of the Lubbock Cooper Pirates. So it was nice to see some West Texas boys sign with Texas Tech. Joey McGuire does a great job of that. But Tech has also made some moves. That they fired their defensive coordinator, Zach Kitley, the old offense coordinator. He left to become the new head coach at FAU. And while people are kind of sad to see him go, maybe like some fans didn't agree with how he ran the offense anyway. But Tech's already hired two new guys, so we stole Houston's defensive coordinator, and then we just hired the Texas State offensive coordinator, who pretty much turned Texas State into a top 15 offense, and just over the last year. So lots of looking up for the Red Raiders, but of course we still have our bowl game left, and it's going to be interesting to see who plays. I still don't know if Taj Brooks is going to play because, like I said, he actually has a pretty high draft stock right now, and the worst possible thing that could happen to him at this moment would be an injury. With that being said, he kind of was snubbed from the finalists for the Doak Walker. He was snubbed from the first team of the All Big 12 team. Like, I don't know what these college pundits who vote on this stuff are thinking, because Taj is easily one of the best running backs in the nation. And so because of that, he might want to play in that bowl game. But it's looking like we might get a bowl in Arizona, or a bowl in Fort Worth, or a bowl in Houston. It's still not quite clear yet, but overall successful season, most regular season wins for the Red Raiders since what, 2009?
2008, I think, 9, something like that. Yeah.
But I don't know, Nick. Just give me your overall thoughts. Like, Tech has been frustrating this year, exciting at times, but we did better than we did last year, but we're still not quite there.
That's the formula, man. It's these certain teams, certain games that we just can't pull through on. It seems like, but the tough ones, the ones that we have to focus in on, are the ones that we end up pulling well with. That West Virginia game, I mean, that was a stomp, and I think halftime it was 35 to something like that.
3, I think it was 35 to 3. Yeah.
So it was a stomp, and a lot of people switched over to other games or left the stadium and whatnot too, which is sad to see. But especially the last home game and senior night. But this year's been super fun watching them. Really hope they made it to the Big 12 champion, or at least the playoffs too. A lot of people did as well, but we'll see next year. I think this recruiting staff's going to be really, really cool. Like I said, Leighton Stone out there, Michael Deaver, they're going to be awesome on that offense. Now, I don't think they're going to be off the rip out there, but I think they'll do well in the program. I also applaud Joey for kind of staying within the Texas area to community with these coaches as well. A lot of people I've seen online were very, very happy about that too. But yeah, I think next year Texas Tech. I feel like we say this every year.
Yeah,
but I think
they're on the way. They're moving up.
We're gonna get there one day. But I think we have a pretty good shot, especially with what the teams look like this year. I think we're upgrading next year.
All right, and right now the college football playoff looks like Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State getting a bye week. Then you got Ohio State versus Tennessee, Penn State versus Arizona State, Georgia versus Indiana, and Notre Dame versus Alabama. Yeah, that worked out well for him last time.
Yeah, all I gotta say is I don't even want to I agree with what Coach McGuire said last week. The blatant SEC bias for the college football playoff is astounding to me. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Big 12 is having one of their stronger years, but people act like the Big 12 is some joke conference that we don't have some of the top Pac-12 teams like from last year. And like Joey said it best. He said an old Big 12 team is going to win the SEC this year. Like a old Pac-12 team might win the Big 12, an old Pac-12 team might win the Big 10, but it all comes down to a patch on your chest, and that gives you an advantage to get into the college football playoff. Like, there is no conceivable reason that a Bama squad that got embarrassed by a 500 Oklahoma team and embarrassed by a 500 Vanderbilt team deserves to be in the college football playoff when you have teams with one loss, two losses. Like, Miami's loss is, say what you want about losing to more top 25 teams, probably because Miami played more top 25 teams, but like Miami is missing it and Alabama's in. South Carolina lost to Alabama, so yes, they also don't deserve to be in, but they were the next up in consideration. I don't know, James. Give me your overall thought on the current college football playoff committee, because I can't be the only one that thinks it's a joke.
No, I think, well, one, you got to look at win-loss, but there's so many teams out there, and so much of it is, well, they lost to them, but we beat them, but they lost to those guys over there. I would hate to be on the committee, but first off, you just got to look at win-loss records, I think. Regardless of schedule, you just kind of have to look at, who's played more top 25 teams and who's beaten more, and, yeah, I definitely think there's a bias there. Just
to that point, Texas played what? 2 hard games this entire season?
I mean, I don't know how you fix it. There's 128 schools in the
yeah. But like when they were supposed to fix it when they expanded it to this new 12-team format, but it's like, oh, well, now that there are 12 teams, we can stuff even more SEC down everyone's throats. I don't know. Like, I'm not praying on the SEC's downfall or anything, but like,
yeah, right.
There's more good football than just 10-7 defensive battles. Like, you know what I mean? It's not fun.
Well, I mean, you say that, but then we get things like the NFL where they completely gear everything towards the offense, and the defense just kind of gets the scraps left over.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, it's hard, but it's just. To me, it's weird because it seems like the people who own the college football playoff has more vested interest in some conferences making it than others who they don't have TV deals with, So, like, hopefully the 12-team playoff works out and it's exciting. But, yeah, like, I don't think anyone's really happy with the way the last 6 seeds went anyway.
It'll be interesting. Moving on. Looking for the best buffalo wings in San Angelo? Head on over to the Arclight Bar and Grill, conveniently located inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive. Their variety of wing flavors is second to none, featuring options like raspberry chipotle, ghost pepper, Nashville hot, sweet heat honey, teriyaki lime, everything rub, and the classic hot wing. Relax in the Arclight, toss your wings to perfection while you enjoy the largest video wall in West Texas, surrounded by 20 additional flat-screen TVs. Pair your meal with one of their daily drink specials for the ultimate dining experience. Visit the Arclight Bar and Grill inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive in downtown San Angelo. All right, moving on. I did skip one. The game I'm going to is actually tomorrow. It's in Waco. It is the TAPS Division I State Championship game. It is Liberty Christian versus Parish Episcopal. It's actually a rematch. This is 1 and 2. Argyle Liberty Christian, that's coached by Jason Witten. I talked to him earlier in the season, and he's right. You know, their quarterback doesn't have to be Superman. There at Parrish, their quarterback is Sawyer Anderson. I think he's a Purdue commit. He's got almost 5,000 yards, almost 50 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Quinn Murphy, who I think he's a junior, but he's talking to Baylor. He's got like 2,700 yards and 30-something touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But he's got a hell of a team around him. I mean, they just had their signing day the other day, and let me pull up this. 6 of their players, football players, signed to play football. One of them signed to play baseball. He's going to be Gunnar Dillard's teammate at Oklahoma. Brady Janusik signed with Oklahoma to play baseball. Nick Blevins signed with West Point. Quentin Brown signed with Boise State. He's a receiver for him. Chase Garnett, their running back, signed with University of South Florida. Jalen Hawkins, another receiver, is going to San Diego State. And C.J. Witten, Coach Witten's son, signed with Rice. They have D1 athletes all across the field. And this is going to be such a good matchup. I think it's going to be one of the better matchups. Not just this weekend, but for all of, UIL and TAPS state football.
Yeah, and James, let me say one thing, man. I'm so glad you get to go cover this. Like, it seems like you've been having to miss out on the state championships the last couple of years. I just want to say, like, I'm glad you're getting to go cover some of them.
No, and I'm happy to be there, too. It was my first coach interview, I think, was with Jason Witten, so this will be maybe my last coach interview this year with Jason Witten. So it comes full circle. I did try to get an interview with him. I talked to their media contact, and they sent me to their director of football operations, and I felt like I went about it the right way, but that was Wednesday when they were talking about signing day, and I wouldn't want to take away from, obviously, signing day. His son signed with Rice. Like, that's a big deal, and that's a big school, and I'm happy. I wouldn't want to take away from that. But that game is going to be at 7 o'clock on Saturday in Waco. I'm super excited for it, and we will have highlights of that one probably early Sunday. Moving on, though, for any banking needs, go to Texas Bank. Proven local strong is how customers refer to Texas Bank, one of the most successful banks in the Lone Star State. Texas Bank is a full-service bank with over $2 billion in assets, and they operate in 16 locations from El Paso to Dallas-Fort Worth, including 3 right here in San Angelo, located at 2201 Sherwood Way, 1850 North Chadbourne, and 4206 College Hills. Texas Bank staff are your friends, family, and neighbors. All right, final thoughts. Hurry. We only got like 30 seconds left, I think, on the timer. Less than a minute. Hurry. Final thoughts. Go.
Go Hawks.
Post was good. Ian Vergara is a beast. This is an awesome year.
Go Hawks.
Well, I'm happy you had a good year, Nick. I hope you enjoyed covering football, and you're going to enjoy it even more when you go to Jerry's World in a couple weeks. Chadwick, go Hawks, absolutely. They changed their whole defense up for this. They changed up their defense to go and play Canadian, get more athletes out there. And I know Slaughter's going to... I texted him the other day. I said, hey, Coach, go give him hell. And they're going to go do that. I have a good feeling the Hawks are going to win this one. Before we move on, though, we did talk about some scores from last night. Let me pull it up real quick. They're gone? Oh, our timer ran out. Gunter beat Holiday 33-7. Ganado beat Marlin 41-14. Joaquin beat Honeygrove 46-22. Stamford beat Post 48-26. And Shiner beat Junction 27-0. Those are our scores from last night. We'll have more complete game scores on the post-game show. And until that, for Nick Thompson, Ryan Chadwick, I'm James Bouligny. Thank you, Lucas, for running the board. We'll see you then.